Welcome to Brands Hatch for round 7 of TCR UK and the Touring Car Trophy. We've got all the cars now out on the grid and we are preparing for this race. A race where Lewis Kent, who is currently way back down at the moment in 5th place, he is looking to try and gain on James Turkington. At the moment, Lewis is leading the way in the championship, as I say, by one solitary point after qualifying yesterday. And James Turkington has got one place on him on the grid, starting in 4th. And let's see if we can get a few words from some of the drivers. Lewis has got, he's got his mesh up, he's got his safety mesh up, he's taking it down right now. He's well trained. Right, Lewis, the man ahead of you to your left, James Turkington, he is the one you really need to get ahead of and stay ahead of for this race. No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. No, if we can get a good launch, we know the car works quite well in the dry with the weight. We struggled quite a bit yesterday with the wet setup on the weight as well. But yeah, hopefully we can get a good launch. I've been speaking to the other couple of drivers. Obviously Stu's been out of it for a while. Nick's never used the launch control properly. And Henry hasn't got launch control, so if we could get a good start, I'm pretty sure we can keep up with them boys off the start. But yeah, if we can get out in front of James, that'll do lovely.
Yeah, but the trouble is with Nick being right ahead of you, say he's never used launch control, then you've got Stuart directly ahead there. So you've got potentially two drivers that could get in your way, and that's something you don't want. You've got Jarrell directly behind you as well, and he can be quite quick off a launch too.
Yeah, I've just got to try and find my gaps, try and pick a gap and go for it. Obviously we don't want to pick up any damage or any problems with the car. We just want to try and collect as many points as we can, and yeah, if we can get through and get away, then we'll be happy.
So the main point for you in race 1 for today, for round 7, is literally get some points on the board. If you can take James, then that would be a good thing. Yeah,
exactly. If we can overtake James and stay in front of him, then that's our game.
Okay, good luck to you. And we'll see Lewis out there on track very, very soon. We've got Alex Day out on track. Now, I was talking to Andy McEwan, our commentator, just a few minutes ago before we went live, and apparently that car had a little issue. They've managed to fix it by the look of it, so hopefully everything is nice and Alex will be vying for a top step. He's got quite a long way to go though, and then there's Darrell Wilson at the back. We caught up with Darrell earlier on today, and he was saying that actually the setup was a bit poor with the car, and they've tried to sort it all out. And talking about setups of the car, if we go back down to the front here to Stuart Lyons, yesterday in qualifying, he said they went actually the wrong way in the setup. They were pretty quick. They made a few changes to the setup, and then they changed it the other way and they started going slightly backwards. But yesterday, of course, as well, they had the issue of the poor weather. It was very greasy out here on track. James Turkington at the moment collecting his thoughts. He knows that Lewis is over his shoulder on the right-hand side. He's got to try and stay ahead of him going into paddock, which is, well, not going to be easy because Lewis is pretty quick off the line. But if we have a look at Stuart Lyons ahead on the right-hand side, Henry Neal without any launch control, and then we have Nick Halstead at the front there, who's a driver who we haven't really seen much of. He did one round. He did pretty well in that one round as well. It looks like he's got a lot of pace. But this man here, Henry Neal, he's one driver we know can do very, very well out on track. It's a circuit he knows well. And his dad's here as well. Let's have a quick chat with Matt. Matt is here just chilling out, really. And we're going to dive in and see if we can get... Sorry, Scott, were you trying to get hold of Matt there? Sorry. I know that Matt is here with Hen. Okay. Matt, we have a very, very quick word with you. What words...
Keep it out the barrier. No, it's just the TCRs are pretty quick off the marks. So we don't have their fancy launch control systems in a BTC car. So he's just got to sort of try and get away. I think he's got the speed once he's out there. So be looking after it and see if we can, be halfway in the hunt.
So the words from the old man: don't bin it. That's it.
Wise words.
Thanks, mate. So there you go. Matt telling us that his words of advice to Henry: don't bin the car, which is a good thing, very good bit of advice. And both of his kids race, of course, Will and Henry. Will does more of the endurance stuff at the moment, but Henry looking very, very fast. He was so good at Alton Park. You remember way back at the start of the season when he was racing directly toe-to-toe, wing-to-wing, in fact, on top of each other with Ollie Taylor, and they both ended up in the barrier at the end of the first race. They had to rebuild that car. The entire front end had to be rebuilt. But they managed to do so because it's team dynamics, and they've got a lot of pedigree when it comes to touring car. Matt Neal, British touring car champion 3 times, so they certainly know what they're doing. And the whole team that put this car together worked very, very hard to do so. Over here then, Nick Halstead. Another Civic Type R. Slightly different shape, obviously. And if you have a quick look at it, you see Nick is looking nicely relaxed. He's got a lot of people around him. There's a lot of people on the grid here today, extremely busy. It's good to see so many people here. We're getting the alarms, the warning signs now to say that it is time to get off the grid. So we'll ignore that for a moment while everybody else does, and we'll take another stroll a little bit further down the pit wall and see who else we can chat to. Stuart Lyons making a return to TCR UK. He was in it last year, of course, making, well, should we say headway? He's making headlines, that's for sure, anyway. And I'm going to get in the way of the lady trying to take pictures. Sorry about that. We carry on down the back again. All these cars still jacked up. Apart from Lewis Kent, they've planted that car back down onto the floor, and there's some kids peering in talking to Lewis while he's trying to compose himself, but that is the nature of the beast when it comes to TCR UK and touring car racing in general. Alex, thumbs up from Alex, all looking good. Let's see if we can just strictly dive in. It's very hard because we have to reach across. Alex, everything okay with the car?
Yeah, everything's okay. Had a little bit of trouble starting it. But yeah, the whole oil misfire from the last 2 rounds should hopefully be ironed out. And yeah, hopefully we should be here for a full race.
That's what we hope. Good luck.
Thank you.
There we go. Full race is the expectations for Alex Day. That is what we want to see as well. That is a very nice looking car out on track here at Brands Hatch. So busy. Look at all the people here on the grid. Very, very nice. We'll clear them before the race. Don't worry too much about that. And as we go further down, the only Astra in TCR UK. In fact, very, very few in TCR in general. As we go a bit round here, no Durrell in the car. If we glance to the left-hand side, you see Durrell just sitting on the wall. He's just chilling out there on the wall at the moment, waiting for the nod to get in the car. In fact, looking around, a couple of the drivers currently sitting. No, I think he's the only driver not in the car at this moment. We caught up words with him just earlier on. I'm going to quickly go and grab hold of him if we can. I know he's got to get in the car. So, Durrell, looking here on the track, we chatted earlier on. You've got a long way down there, a lot to make up.
Yeah, the Astra always starts off good, so hopefully I can get another good start strong and get down there and get a couple of cars into turn 1.
But of course, Nick's never used this launch control, only once or twice before. Stuart is coming back into the sport for a while. The main one off the line is going to be Lewis, but let's just hope the 2 cars ahead of Lewis don't block you.
Yeah, I always find a way past, so it should be all right.
Good luck out there. There you go. So get the elbows out is his message. We've heard some interesting words so far today. Durrell really wants to get his elbows out. He's feeling confident. Alex hopes to get a full race in that car. It is a beautiful car, but it has had a few problems over the last couple of rounds, so fingers crossed they've got to grips with that one. And as we go a little bit further down towards the start line here, we'll take one more peek in at Lewis Kent just to focus on the eyes of him. He's deep in conversation. He knows exactly what he's got to do in pole position when it comes to the championship. Leads by 1 point, which is not many, particularly when you consider there are points of qualifying and there are points in both races up for grabs as well. So let's see what he can do. And then James Turkington here, he knows that all he has to do is stay ahead of Lewis Kent just to maintain his position in the title. And if he can carry on leading the way, if he can lead Lewis Kent going into this race, at the end of this race, if he's 1 position ahead, he'll be equal on points, if not further ahead than that, depending on which position he finishes. In fact, if I do the maths in my head correctly, any position ahead of Lewis Kent will mean he is leading going into round 8 of 10 TCR UK races in 2019. So we'll try and get a word with James Turkington a little bit later on ahead of race 2 if we can, because we are getting the nod that we're going to have to leave in just a few minutes' time. And Andy McEwan is going to be taking over when it comes to chatting us through this race here. If we head up a little bit further, again going towards the Neal family. Matt just talking through to Hen, just a few more words of encouragement. They're very, very solid camp, this one here. Matt Neal and the Team Dynamics team, and of course Henry behind the wheel and Will on his team as well. Both, or all 3 of them, extremely experienced racers, especially Matt Neal, 3 times British touring car champion. Great to see him on the grid. And it's interesting to see a Neal followed by a Turkington on the track as well. Very, very nice indeed. So as we go a little bit further to the front here, we'll get one final look down the grid, and then we'll hand over to our race commentator, who I believe is now in position. We were due to be having a chat with him, but we had to delay our start slightly on the broadcast. But have a look down here now. You can see just how busy it is at Brands Hatch. Extremely busy. Great to see so many people here. And we are going to have one heck of a race ahead of us. At the end of this race, who is going to be leading the way going into 3 races to go? Will it be Lewis Kent leading the way right now by 1 point? Or will it be James Turkington? Or will it be an other? The only other person that can take the lead going into the next race is Durrell Wilson. He's starting right at the back. So Andy, this is going to be very, very exciting. Tough one for you to call, but it is time. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Bryn. Yeah, this is starting to get down to the business end of the season now, really. 4 races to go, 2 here at Brands Hatch today and 2 at Donington Park later on this season. And it is still all to play for, really. Lewis Kent came into this weekend 2 points ahead of James Turkington. He's now only 1 point ahead of James Turkington, though, because James out-qualified him yesterday, and you score points if you qualify inside the top 5. So Lewis Kent qualified 1 place behind James Turkington, therefore James scores an extra point. So a single point is all that separate the top 2 in our TCR UK Championship. And you can say what you like about sizes and any other opinions you have on TCR UK, but racing has been very entertaining, and this championship battle is now moving away quite nicely. Lewis Kent, second-year driver, who was in the championship last year in his first taste of TCR machinery, and James Turkington, who has 7 years of racing experience, and racing a similar sort of amount of time as Lewis Kent has, but in other categories. And James has done a lot of his racing lately over in his homeland of Northern Ireland, and previously raced in the Mini Challenge, the JCW class of the Mini Challenge. They've both got experience of front-wheel drive, tin-top racing, but here they are now contesting the TCR UK title of 2019. Made all the more impressive as far as James Turkington is concerned by the fact that he didn't even compete in the TCR class at the season opener at Alton Park. He was racing in his Seat Leon Super Copa. Then the opportunity came about to jump into Stuart Lyne's Maximum Motorsport prepared Cupra, and that's the car that he's stuck with since then. And since making his debut in that car at Donington Park, James has been straight on the pace, and he's had podium finishes. He has had a class victory, of course, in that second Donington Park race, followed up by a pair of second-place finishes at Croft last time out. Lewis Kent very much the form man at the moment, though, because he won both of those races at Croft a few weeks ago and arrives here at Brands Hatch very much with the momentum swinging his way. Indeed, neither of them scored any points from our first round at Alton Park. James Turkington because he wasn't racing in the TCR class, and Lewis Kent because he wasn't racing at all. He was there that weekend, his car was there that weekend, but problems early on in qualifying meant that he unfortunately had to withdraw from the races, did Lewis, so neither of them actually scored any points from the season opener. And in fact, neither of them scored any all that many points, really. It didn't look like they were going to score that many points anyway when we got to Donington Park, but they were able to get themselves a class win apiece. Lewis Kent dramatically winning the outright race victory in race 1. Hence why it looked for a while like he might not score any points at all, but he was able to hang on to the TCR class victory before unfortunately non-finishing in the second race and handing the victory to James Turkington. So those two between them have been doing much of the winning of late. But here they start a little deeper in the field. Now, qualifying yesterday was wet, and then it got wetter, and then it got wetter still, and we had a red flag, and then it kept on getting wetter, and that meant that really the quickest of the times were set early in the session by and large. Most of the drivers set their fastest time of the session in the first 5 or 6 laps. The only exceptions were Henry Neal and James Turkington, but they only managed to improve fractionally about halfway through the session. For the second half of the session, certainly after the red flag, the conditions had deteriorated to the point that no lap time improvement was really possible, and so it is a rather jumbled grid, but that bodes well for some good racing, and it's fair to say that most of the drivers out there are capable of running towards the front, and Nick Halstead it was who came out on top with a 56.609 at the pole position time, just over a tenth quicker than Henry Neal, who is the first of the 2 Touring Car Trophy entrants, the non-TCR homologated cars. Essentially all of the TCR cars you see out on the grid today are running in the TCR class. We've had that quirk in the past where we've had a non-homologated TCR car that was racing in the TCT, not the TCR class, which for some caused confusion. But no, here today all of the TCR cars you see are racing in the TCR category, and Henry Neal and Alex Day, the 2 TCT cars. Then Henry Neal starts second with Alex Day down in 6th. As we heard, they were doing a bit of an oil change, I think, before the race got underway. They've had this really frustrating electrical glitch that's really hampered them this year, and they're hoping that that is now all sorted. So away they go then, onto their green